Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. What the world is watching. And hello, everybody. It's time for another edition of the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. And if you're watching, say hello. Eventually, I do want to film a really cool intro for the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast on 1980 style, where it's like, hey, we're going to be talking about all the collectibles and all the memories and all the stuff that makes us professional wrestling fans. This is such good shit. Look at that little pipsqueak. Look at that from the WWE fan club. Ultimate Warrior wristbands. He was like, you like wrestling? I was like, hell yeah, I do. It was Lumberjack Jimmy, my made-up wrestler. Think Hacksaw Jim Duggan, just Lumberjack.
Did you use a backbreaker in a fight at Grand Oaks?
He runs a promotion during his lunch break. that what cracks me up. All right, and hello everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. I am Boom Boom Brandon Oliver, and I hope that you enjoyed the brand new intro video, because last week I just ended up using a WWF one. But it was kind of inspired by it, but I hope that you appreciated it, because it was pretty fun. It was fun putting it together, and I hope you enjoyed it. So welcome again to the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. And today I got my Hulk Hogan Hulk Rules shirt on. And as you know, this is a show dedicated towards memorabilia, towards collectibles, towards all the things that make us wrestling fans. And for me, because I'm a little old, you see the gray in the beard, for me, it's stuff from the 80s and 90s, mostly for myself, so hence the Hulkster, and then some of the stuff that you see behind me here in the collectibles. So we have a great show planned for you tonight. And so, of course, one of the things that we'll be doing is we'll be talking to Christi Jaynes, who has recently been featured on AEW. And as you all know, she is the RCW Phoenix champion as well. So she'll be joining us pretty soon on the program, and you'll be able to ask her some questions and talk to her as well. So, and again, we're going to be talking to her, but we're also going to be talking Royal Rumble 1993. So I think we're going to do that first, because we're waiting on Christi a little bit here, but we're going to be talking Royal Rumble 1993. And as always, comment, and I'll respond back to it. Eric Burns says, hello, Brandon, brother. That's right. Eric Burns, thank you for watching the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. Abel says, late 80s, all 90s wrestling for me. That's what influenced me to be a fan. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for those things, RCW wouldn't exist. Brandon Oliver wouldn't exist, and all of that. So those are things that inspired me. I've always believed, when you talk to some of the older wrestlers, or the wrestlers, are really into kayfabe, are really into protecting the business. They always say, "Oh, well, I'm not a mark. I never watched it before." And for the most part, that's a lot of baloney. That's a lot of BS. Most people are inspired to something. If you become a professional baseball player, well, you're probably inspired by a major league, ball player. If you wanted to be an NBA player and you're an NBA player, you're probably inspired by someone in basketball, like Michael Jordan. So, so I don't care what, wrestlers say, for the overwhelming majority, and I would venture to say about 97, 98% of the time, they were influenced by wrestling. Something sparked an interest in them. Something got them started. And, it's okay to appreciate your fandom. So Karen McGrath, hello, how are you doing? Abel still running wild. That's right, brother. Brandon, so you brought up an interesting point. I just saw this like minutes ago, that the legendary Ugandan giant Kamala passed away. I don't have any more details. I literally got this information when when I was getting ready to go live here. So I was kind of, getting everything together and gathering all my notes. But yeah, I don't have any of the details. I mean, as many of you know, many of you old school fans know, Kamala, who, by the way, scared the absolute shit out of me as a kid. But Kamala has been battling health issues, gosh, I mean, I would say at least the past decade, if not more, with diabetes and other health issues and getting amputations and stuff like that. So it's, very, um, it's sad to hear that, but at the same time, um, I almost wonder if it's kind of comforting in a way because he has so many health issues, and definitely will be missed. Like I said, one of the guys that scared the absolute hell out of me. It was like him, Dr. David Schultz, and a few other guys that I just made me, into all this wrestling fandom. And so very, definitely rest in peace, Kamala, and to, him and his family. And, definitely our thoughts are with them. But at the same time, like I said, maybe it was, it was time and maybe even somewhat of a comfort for him. But definitely rest in peace, Kamala. Abel, yes, indeed, rest in peace, Kamala. So we're going to be talking about Royal Rumble 93 and more specifically the memorabilia from Royal Rumble 1993. And we're still waiting on Christi Jaynes. She'll be joining us shortly. But like I said, 1993, I think it was Lewis, my friend Lewis, that said 1993 was a big pay-per-view year for me. For some reason, I was able to go to like my first Royal Rumbles and my first WrestleManias that year. And it all began, the road to WrestleMania, WrestleMania 9, which I attended in Las Vegas. The road to WrestleMania always starts with the Royal Rumble. And in this particular year, 1993, it was held in Sacramento, where I was living at the time, or close to Sacramento in California. And I jumped at the chance to go to the Royal Rumble. And my seats weren't the best, in the world, but my mom did everything that she could to, take her child as a single mother to a WWF pay-per-view. And so Royal Rumble 1993 was, 1983 is an interesting year because a lot of people, I, when I think about people picking on wrestling now for its creative directions and for, and things like that, and not being as exciting as it used to be and things like that, 1993 was a really interesting year because that was coming off that golden era of the 80s with Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and Andre the Giant, Million Elements, so on and so forth. And it kind of had that kind of like a little dip. In fact, I remember attending an event at the Arc Arena in Sacramento, like the following year after this Royal Rumble, and like only the floor in the first section, parts of the first section had fans in it, and they were playing the music. This is WWF show, remind you, house show. They were playing the music out of like basically like a PA, and just like it almost seems like it was holding a microphone up to it. So these were kind of lean years for the WWF. They went through a steroid scandal. They went through, some other allegations as well. So it was definitely, as Rafa puts here, yes, indeed, it was the year of transition. Hogan was on his way to do movies and Thunder in Paradise, and even though he would come back at WrestleMania 9, they were searching for the next Hulk Hogan. We wouldn't see a next Hulk Hogan until SummerSlam in 1983 when Lex Luger, the narcissist Lex Luger, jumps off the helicopter in his little patriotic shirt and body slams Yokozuna. That was the next attempt at a Hulk Hogan. But it was a real kind of interesting time. But I loved it, and that's why I say, for the fans that pick on wrestling, and some of the criticism is deserved for today's direction and today's, creativity. But I could tell you with the utmost confidence, it is not that bad because I lived through 92, 93, 94 WWF and WCW. And I mean, you could make a strong case that those are very, very, very lean years. They were good. They were good for us and great for nostalgia. But you could make the case that that's way worse. So let's talk about the Royal Rumble 1993 real quick. And if y'all have memories of Royal Rumble 1993, let's talk about it here. The opening dark match was Doink the Clown, who was doing the evil Doink the Clown, which is like one of the best entrance music I've ever heard. The Doink the Clown evil music is fantastic. In the dark match, he defeated Jim Powers. And Jim Powers, I mean, I have no recollection of this match at all, even though I was there. But Jim Powers of the Young Stallions fame, the Young Stallions were him and Paul Roma. And that was in the late 80s. And once Paul Roma became a heel and tied up with Hercules to form Power and Glory, Jim Powers just kind of floundered. And it's pretty interesting because, they always talk about body guys and Vince McMahon and WWF and body guys in this time. And Jim Powers in his own right, if you see him, was definitely a body guy. But he just completely floundered here. And, here just someone to make Doink the Clown, the evil Doink the Clown, look good. So in the dark match, that's exactly what happened. 5 minutes and 57 seconds, Doink the Clown defeated Jim Powers. And then the pay-per-view itself started. And the opening match was the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott Steiner, against the Beverly brothers. And that one ended at 10 minutes and 34 seconds with the Steiner brothers going over. So this, again, was kind of an introductory. Steiner brothers, I believe, just joined the WWF or pretty close. Abel, Power and Glory is not Warlord and Barbarian, man. It was Hercules and Paul Roma. All right. But it was the same era, though. Warlord and Barbarian were definitely a tag team. But going back to it, the Steiner brothers and the Beverly brothers, a brotherly feud, I guess. But this was definitely a match to really showcase the Steiner brothers coming in to WWF after so many years, NWA and WCW, and really just showcase them. I always believed, and I've heard a lot of things about the Steiners' run in WWF, and a lot of it has to do with attitudes and things like that, just hearsay. But I really wish Steiner Brothers had a bigger run in WWF. They would appear at WrestleMania 9, throughout 1993, into 1994, I believe. But I don't really recall the Steiner Brothers lasting that long. I don't know what the reason is. I mean, I've heard hearsay and internet rumors and innuendo and all that stuff. A lot of it was due to attitude issues and things like that. But I wish the Steiner brothers did have a better run. And I'm sorry, Abel. Yeah, you are 0 for 1. Sorry, pal. That's the way it works out. Eric Burns says, Waylon Mercy scared the bejesus out of me. So that was a little bit after what I was talking about. But yeah, they definitely were playing on that movie with Robert De Niro. I cannot remember. Help me out. I cannot remember the name of it. There's a movie with Robert De Niro where he plays like a psycho, and I think it was actually a remake. And Waylon Mercy, of course, it was Barry Windham, but no, Dan Spivey. I'm sorry, Dan Spivey. Dan Spivey would be given this Waylon Mercy gimmick, and it was pretty much just a straight rip of that Robert De Niro movie. I'm going to remember what the name of that movie is, but I cannot right now. All right, so back to Royal Rumble 1993. The next match after that, this is one I was looking forward to as a fan. Singles match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. The newly Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus Marty Jannetty. And And so Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, this was, you know, thank you, Eric Burns, Cape Fear. That's exactly what it was, Cape Fear. But, you know, everybody knows the barbershop window and Marty Jannetty and Marty floating in and out of the WWF. And, you know, I'll be honest, at the time when and I was a big Rockers fan. I'm sure many of you were too. And, you know, the Rockers were so influential. I thought they should have got a tag team run. They won the tag team titles, and it was, you know, nixed because of ropes falling apart and things like that. But everybody knows the whole story. The barbershop window, Shawn Michaels kicking Marty Jannetty and then throwing him through it, or as Bobby the Brain Heenan likes to say, Jannetty tried to jump through it. And at the time, I was always more of a Marty Jannetty guy. I always thought, even though, I mean, obviously they were teasing Shawn Michaels becoming a pretty boy, he would, of course, become the Heartbreak Kid. Even then, I just was rooting for Marty Jannetty. So on an episode of WWF Superstars of Wrestling, October 31st, Halloween, 1992, Marty Jannetty returned to the WWF after a lengthy absence and confronted Shawn Michaels. He attempted to hit Shawn Michaels with a mirror, but Michaels pulled in his valet, Sensational Sherry, in front of him. Sherry was hit with the mirror, which caused even more friction between the former Rockers. So this led up to the match, and it was, you know, I think it was a great match. You know, a lot of people are, you know, kind of totter on the match itself. And then, of course, subsequently, you know, Marty Jannetty would bounce in and out of the WWF after that. You know, but including a time where mind you, this was all before WWF Raw. This was, you know, Superstars of Wrestling and, you know, Saturday Night's Main Event, Wrestling Challenge. That was all we had. We didn't have Raw yet. The aftermath to this match would, of course, be that Marty Jannetty would return on one of the early episodes of Monday Night Raw, and would actually defeat Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental Championship on May 17, 1993. Michaels would regain the belt in a rematch the following month to end that feud. And then Marty Jannetty, like I said, would bounce back and forth. And then, you know, I love Marty Jannetty, and I see here that Abel, you know, loves Marty Jannetty too. Abel, yes, indeed. RCW did bring down Marty Jannetty at one point. And you know what? You know, talking about Marty Jannetty, obviously his name is in the media again, and I won't delve into that. You know, I do know, you know, knowing Marty Jannetty for so long, and also keeping track of his Facebook. His Facebook is a little out there, and he posts things on his Facebook that he doesn't really transfer into reality. Because my experience with Marty Jannetty when we brought him down for RCW so many years ago was amazing. We had a dinner between him and I, talked about the wrestling business. He was phenomenal. He gave me, this is before Hulk Hogan and Bischoff went to TNA, and he let me know that was going to happen. I hadn't even heard about it, but he let me know that was going to happen. And then after the show, which was so special, is that Marty Jannetty, after the show was over and the ring, you know, it's time to tear down the ring. You know, you have some local guys that think that tearing down the ring is beneath them. But for Marty Jannetty, he got up on broken ankles, mind you. Okay, he had really, really damaged broken ankles going into the show, and started pulling boards off the ring. And I was like, hey, Marty, you know, this is an Intercontinental Champion, you know, famous Rockers, you know, hey, Marty, you don't need to do this. And he was like, no, man, if they can't do that, I'll do it. And so I was really impressed with Marty and his appreciation for the wrestling business. And I know he's going through something tough right now. I can't really comment on it because I don't know anything about it other than what y'all know about it. But my experience with Marty Jannetty has been pretty good. So also on the show, Bam Bam Bigelow defeated the Big Boss Man. A big man match that is mostly forgotten. Um, but I mean, I love Bam Bam Bigelow, love the Big Boss Man, big man match, but like I said, mostly forgotten. Around this point is where, after so many weeks of teasing, Bobby the Brain Heenan said that he was going to unveil the Narcissist. And so at the Royal Rumble, it was finally unveiled that the Narcissist, they pulled back the curtain, and it was Lex Luger. And he was, coming off that WEF, the World Bodybuilding Federation, and Lex Luger transitioned into this narcissist heel gimmick, complete with him posing in mirrors and basically falling in love with himself, while Bobby the Brain Heenan was on the mic doing his thing like he does always, and talking about how great the narcissist is, how great his legs are, his muscles are, his hair is, all that stuff. It was a great introduction to Lex Luger. It's weird because that gimmick would only last until that July. So from that January, from July, they're doing a narcissist gimmick with a loaded forearm because of the motorcycle accident. They said he had a metal forearm. But after that, he became Made in the USA Lex Luger, and the rest is history on that. Abel says, I remember at the same show, Pretty Boy Keith Lee, look at him now, bask in his glory, definitely. Remarkable Wrestling Podcast is kind of its own little entity to itself. It's a little separate from RCW, but yeah, man, Keith Lee, so many guys, that you're watching on TV now have come through RCW during their early days. And, it's, Keith Lee. I mean, dude, the guy's dominated on NXT. He's a dual champion. And yeah, those years, those early formative years for Keith Lee's career, he was a part of RCW. Going back to Royal Rumble 1993, singles match for the WWF Championship, Bret the Hitman Hart defeated Razor Ramon in 17 minutes and 52 seconds. So that was actually my favorite match of the show. That was the one I'd been looking forward to the most. Razor Ramon, and I'll talk about this in a second because of the memorabilia from it. Razor Ramon was one of my top guys of all time. Huge mark for Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. And, he came in with, a series of vignettes and promos that were just spectacular, running off the Scarface theme, and, was given a big push right away at the 1992 Survivor Series. He was in the main event with Ric Flair, teaming with Ric Flair against Randy Savage and Mr. Perfect. And so here he was getting a title shot. And I believe the thing that set this up was Razor Ramon attacking Owen Hart while Owen Hart was being interviewed backstage. Razor Ramon viciously attacked Owen Hart, which led up to this championship match. And indeed, Razor Ramon was awesome. And so, fantastic match. They went, like I said, 17, 18 minutes. And in the end, Bret the Hitman Hart won. But for right now, I see that she has popped up. I see that she is here. So I'm going to bring her on. Christi Jaynes, how are you doing?
I am doing good. I am so sorry. I'm on Pacific time zone still. So I totally did not realize I have to change everything to Texas time zone, which you would think my phone would automatically switch over, but it didn't.
It doesn't. So I went to California about a month ago. I think I told you that. And my phone, the entire time, even if I restarted it and all this other stuff, it would not update to California time. It stayed in Texas time. So I don't know if that's just do you have an Android or an iPhone?
I have a Razor 2 phone. It's like a gaming phone. So it does run off of Android. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it's a thing with Android then, because we were there for several days. I restarted my phone, did everything I could. But yeah, I did an update. But don't worry, we were having a great conversation about the 1993 Royal Rumble and talking about that while we were waiting for you, Christi Jaynes. Do you remember the 1993 Royal Rumble at all?
I don't, but I was just watching Hulk Hogan against Sid Vicious Mania 8, where
Yes.
Sid just shoot kicked out of Hogan's leg drop, and
Yes.
his manager like had to bust in because either one of them wanted to lose to one another. What is it? The egos in this business, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
was just watching that. It was really, I was just like, damn, man, how would it be to be like back then in the Attitude Era? Like now, outside of COVID, like the arenas are packed and stuff, but like back then, it was
Yeah.
crazy,
Right.
crazy.
Right. We were just talking about that in the 92 WrestleMania. So that story behind that is that, yeah, you're right. Sid Justice against Hulk Hogan. Papa Shango, who would eventually become Godfather and so many other different gimmicks. I guess he was queued up wrong, or it was such a long path to the ring that like it took him forever to get to get down to the ring. And so, they had to improvise. But of course, that's the big, mark out moment, I think, for so many of us that watched that 92 WrestleMania, is the Ultimate Warrior comeback. We didn't have internet. We didn't have dirt sheets. We didn't have any of that stuff back then. We had no
Right.
idea the Ultimate Warrior was coming back. So when he's running down the ring and his music, I mean, everybody's freaking out because he'd be gone for about a year. But yeah, that's a great WrestleMania. That's a great memory, Christi Jaynes. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was just like literally just watching as I was like eating. And then I was like, oh, what time is it? And I'm like, God damn it. I went breakfast time.
No worries, no worries. Greg Roybal says, hi, Christy. I don't know if you can see comments on there in the bottom left.
I can see them. Hello, Greg. How are you?
Greg's a big fan. Greg's a good fan. I always see him at RCW shows and always supporting you, Christi Jaynes. And so,
Yeah, so here's the
he's
question for you. When are you going to start running, even with a limited audience? Come on.
So I've talked about it before. I'm kind of waiting till WWE, AEW, NBA, Major League. Once it starts having actual crowds again, not spaced out, not having to do a bunch of stuff that's out of the norm. I love a traditional wrestling show. Um, I know that several are doing drive-ins and things like that, and it's cool. I just I'm an old guy. I mean, look at the gray and the beard, so I have to have it a certain way. And so, I'm kind of waiting, and I'm also waiting to see what happens with some of these, events and things that are starting up and kicking off. And then, is there outbreaks happening? Is there not? So kind of just giving a wait and see process. I'd rather keep, the talent like yourself and the fans safe. Like it would tear me up if you or any of the talent or fans got sick. It would tear me up to know that it happened at an RCW show. So better safe than sorry. But yeah, I'm itching to run. And I mean, you are our Phoenix champion. We need you to defend a title.
I'm willing to put my health on the line. Let's do it. Let's go wrestle.
I hear you. Eric Burns says, hello, Christy. Good to see you.
Hello,
Um,
Eric. How are you doing?
So, a lot of fans are obviously, what's so cool about fans from here is that they've seen the evolution of Christi Jaynes. I mean, they've seen the different kinds of characters that you've had and your start to now getting, several shots. You had a trial with WWE. You've had several opportunities with AEW. I mean, what do you have to say about the fans that have kept track of you here, that have followed you kind of from the start?
I'm very grateful for every opportunity I have had. I am extremely grateful for everyone that has stood by my side and rooted me on. It's very humbling when I meet people that I didn't even know like followed me or watched me on any platform, right? And they're like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are." Like when I went to AEW the very first time, I was like shaking hands with everyone, meeting everyone. And Sunny Kiss came up to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Christi Jaynes. I know who you are." I'm like, "What? You know me?" Like, what? Who? So I'm always like very humbled and like grateful for everyone that supports me, and not only me, but like supports local promotions and local indie wrestlers and people alike, because we are all just there striving to do better, to get out there, to get recognized, to better our craft, and just eventually make it to the top.
Definitely. And right before you joined, Christy, we were talking about Marty Jannetty because I brought him in. We're talking 1993 Royal Rumble. But someone else brought up at that same Marty Jannetty show for RCW, this is like 2009 ish, that Keith Lee was on the show. And, so many guys, so many great talents here in Texas got their starts here in Texas, worked their way around, including RCW, Keith Lee being one of them, Sammy Guevara being another one of them, who's now in AEW.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really cool. Ray Rowe being another one. He was an RCW champion, now in WWE. So, I mean, it's exciting. It takes a while, but it's exciting to see the talents that you saw here for, $10 in front of you, a couple hundred people, making it to national television.
Yeah, it's exciting for me as well because I'm friends with all these people, right? So to watch, like, to be on the road with them and just starting out and just learning like how to flip or how to like do a moonsault or how to even do, like a twisted wrist lock or anything, and watching them go from that to like, oh wow, they have a contract, they're like superstars now. It's exciting for me too.
It is, and no matter, what is said and done, and there's a few of those guys I've had, loved and hated. But in all honesty, I'm happy to see so many Texas talent getting these breaks and getting these opportunities and doing really well. I'm not just talking about an enhancement talent or random security guard right. I'm talking like they're actually getting to showcase themselves and their abilities and their characters.
Right.
So tell us about the AEW experience, for the fans that, you may never get the opportunity to see what the AEW experience is like. Tell us about
I
it.
think they will,
Moment.
because when AEW does tapings now, they do let in a certain number of fans.
Okay.
So,
but talk about your experience. Like you going in there. Yeah. Talk about your experience.
My experience, I mean, it's, they're just getting started. So I can only imagine it's how WWE or WWF got started. So they're a small company on a huge platform. They have a huge financial backing. They have somebody that is completely interested in the talent storylines, kind of like how Vince McMahon was completely all hands on at the beginning of WWF, right? Like they are the exact same, they're the exact same way as a beginning foundation of WWF. They're just like that. Like, their business, it's a business just like WWE is. They have extra talent, they have catering, they have it's I don't know, overall it's really great, and because it's smaller, I feel like, and because they're just starting, they can showcase more unsigned talent. right? To
Right.
get the
Mm,
opportunity for other indie promotions to see them. It doesn't necessarily mean that that talent's going to get signed by AEW or not. It's just a way for them to not only showcase their girls that are signed, but also to allow extra talent to have that platform too. Which I think is a little different than WWE, because WWE has over 100 girls signed, right? And they don't even use them all.
right.
And then they also hire extra talent, and then it's like they never use the extra talent, and if they do, it's very rare. So
Right.
I feel like the opportunity for extra talent to be on TV is bigger with AEW than it is with WWE. But overall, they're a company, and I'm sure they will hit their speed bumps along the way, like every company has. But
Sure.
I definitely feel like they're in it for the long haul.
How did you feel like, I mean, because, wrestling in the Indies here in Texas and Mexico and so on and so forth, and now getting this opportunity, were you nervous? Was there any trepidation at all? How were you feeling the very first time you got there?
So when I got my first match for AEW, it was here in Texas in Cedar Park, actually, the HEB center. Um, it was weird because when I went there, I wasn't expecting to get a match, right? I like one. I hoped for one, but I didn't expect to get one because I know how, like, I did so much extra work for WWE, and I knew, like, the chances of getting a match was like rare. So I didn't
Mm,
even expect it. And then they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have a match with Swole," and I was like so excited. But I wasn't really nervous because
that's good.
I guess from my experience working in Mexico, there's huge arenas there. They are
Good.
packed. So I wasn't really, I just went out there and I remember thinking like, "Oh, it's just like Mexico." Like, I'm just going to go out
Yes.
there, pretend it's Mexico. And that's literally what I did. Like, with everyone screaming and cheering, it was like, "Oh, this is just like Mexico." So I wasn't like nervous per se. It was more like excited, right? Like, I actually get an opportunity to be showcased. And then after that, it was like, "Oh, okay, great." And then Cody and Tony Khan were like, "Hey, you did a great job. We want you to come out to Double or Nothing in Vegas." And then COVID hit. And I was like,
Mm,
"Damn." And
mm.
then they messaged me again and they were like, "Hey, come to Jacksonville, Florida, because we're doing Double or Nothing there." And I was like so excited just to be around everyone, to have that opportunity. And then when I was down there, the first week I was there, like nothing. I didn't get like any opportunity to wrestle or do anything. And then the second week, right after Double or Nothing, they said, "Hey, you have a match today." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Right. So I'm thinking, "Oh, I'm going to wrestle Swole again." And then they were like, "No, you're going to wrestle Sheeta." And I was like, "Oh, wow." And
Mhm.
they're like, "It's going to be a 50-50 match." And I
Yeah.
was like,
Just
"Okay,
yeah.
this is going to be like super cool." Right. So then
Yeah.
I remember I had gear specially made for like Double or Nothing, and I thought I was never going to be able to wear it. And I was like, "I'm wearing it. This isn't Double or Nothing, but I'm going to be on TNT. This may be my only chance." So I was prepared. Like, I'm always prepared with gear, right? I even have my WrestleMania gear and entrance gear already made. So if it ever happens, I already got that. But like, I was, I wasn't nervous. I was anxious just to get the match done and over with, because
Right.
I was like, you really can't fuck up now because you're on TNT. And like, and it was
Right.
great. Like, Sheeta's great to work with. And uh, Kenny is awesome. And, I got nothing but positive feedback. And then the next day, they weren't too sure if I was going to get another match. And I didn't care because I was happy with the one match. I was like, I don't need another match. I got the one match and I'm good. Right. And sorry, I'm at my friend's house because I am staying here. I'm traveling. I'm on the road, and her baby's like screaming, crying right now.
Oh, it's okay.
I'll come in the bathroom. So yeah, it was crazy. They're like, "Oh, you got this match, so hurry up and go get dressed, get a makeup." And so I ran and I had the match with Kylan. And then after that, I was like, oh, that's great. And then I went back out there a couple more times, but they never used me. They just used me in the crowd. And, that was like, uh-oh, there you are. Sorry, I don't know what happened. And then I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I was just so excited that I even I was given that platform,
Right.
So I was just happy with the platform that they gave me to showcase my abilities. But it does kind of suck right now because COVID, right? So it's like,
Sure.
okay, you're on TV, you get to showcase your ability, but you really have nowhere to wrestle and take that momentum anywhere with. So it kind of sucks.
Yeah, definitely. But in that too, I've noticed we have a mutual friend that is a fan of yours and rooting for you, which is good old JR, Jim Ross, who I know pretty well. He's my best
friend.
Yes, there you go. And I mean, he's a big Christi Jaynes fan. I saw him.
He's my best. I think he's my mom's fan. I don't think he's my fan. I think he's my mother's fan. She's amazing. My mom's amazing. But yeah, I think he's my mom's fan. But yeah, he's my best friend. He doesn't know that. He probably thinks I'm a stalker. But
well, he's big he's big on education and college and universities and things like that. And I believe your mom has a PhD.
Yeah, so my mom came to America with 4 kids. She got her doctorate, so she's a doctor. And then my brothers both have their doctorates, and then my sister has her doctorate, and I'm a wrestler.
That's all right. That's all right. We appreciate the wrestler. Let's take a look at some of the comments and stuff that we're getting here. Michael says, beautiful. I saw you in San Antonio at a CLW event and wasn't able to get your autograph. Well, when RCW starts up, you can get her autograph.
Yeah. I know right now, whenever I do events, I don't there's no meet and greets, right? So there's no merch you can sell. You guys can always go on my Big Cartel, Christi Jaynes at Big Cartel, it's / Big Cartel. I have merch on there, so you guys can always buy stuff from there. And then always Instagram or Twitter, you can send me a message asking about merch too. But other than that, right now, it just with COVID, it just doesn't work. So.
Yeah. It's hard to do a meet and greet. Let's see. Abel asked, hey, Christi, who are some of the people you have been on the road with?
Just about everyone. If you name it, I've probably been on the road with them. So a lot of people. Who do you want? Who? Who?
That covers a lot of ground. Are we talking Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, or are we talking more Texas indie guys and luchadors, or have you been on the road?
Both. Okay. I've been on the road with Io Shirai. I've been on the road with Shayna Baszler, Deonna Purrazzo. Who else are big names that everyone knows? Gino. Been on the road with Ricky Starks, Jojo Bravo, Brian Cage, Phoenix, Penta, Rey Mysterio, Bestia, Garza, Umberto, his uncle. I've been on the road with, who else do you guys know? Ray Rowe. I've been on the road with Sarah. I've been on the road with, who else? Allie. I've been on the road with, so many people, just so many people, right? Sure. Jordan Grace,
it's another good
Veda one. Scott. I've been you name anyone right now, Shotzi Blackheart. You name everyone right now, and it'll definitely yeah, I've probably been on the road with them.
How
Stanley
much?
Guevara, sorry, probably like a lot, you know,
Sure,
Laredo
sure.
Kid, Danny Limelight.
And so, how much of an education have you received from these road trips?
Like wrestling wise and technique, a lot, right? But like American wrestling culture is different than Mexico wrestling culture. And I'm starting to find out that I've only been in the business for almost 6 years. And it's like, because of that, and because my previous job before that is like a real job, right? And wrestling is not. Like, they do not follow those guidelines. So what is acceptable in wrestling is not acceptable in like real people, like real other jobs. What is acceptable like in the entertainment business is not acceptable in wrestling entertainment business. What is like culturally acceptable for me is not American culturally acceptable for me. So like I still have that hurdle that I like jump over, you know.
Sure.
So yeah.
So Abel follows it up. He said, "Did you learn Spanish since you work in Mexico?"
So I speak fluent Portuguese and I can read it, and Spanish and Portuguese are very similar, so I can just understand it.
Okay, enough to get by, right? Enough to,
Yeah.
you know.
Plancha.
Danilo says, "Brandon,
Viva
please tell her."
Portugal.
Yeah. So we got another one there. Let's see, what else do we got? Abel's all over the questions. Do you drive? And how would you rate how would other wrestlers rate your driving skills?
Well, no one's died, if that's what you're asking. Okay. No one has died. So I don't want to hear anything about my driving. And I do drive sometimes. Sometimes I take a flight. So just depends.
Sure. Are you a driving person or a flight person?
Both.
Like, what would you rather?
I like to drive, but I would rather fly.
Sure. Especially, yeah.
Because I can sleep.
Yeah, That's right. All right. So we are a collectibles show. That's what the focus is on here at Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. So we've been asking people, and I know you're on the road, so you aren't able to display it, but what are some collectibles that you've had? Could be from your career, could be even before your career when you're just a fan and watching it. What are some collectibles and memorabilia that you've held on to and means a lot to you?
So I have some, but I have my very first title I ever won in Mexico. I still have that belt. I never had to give it back after I lost it. And then the very first belt I won, or title, was in Belton, Texas, and it was a cup, actually. And I won it from Jessica Jaynes. You remember Jessica Jaynes?
I do.
Yeah, so I won it from Jessica Jaynes, and it was a cup. And I won it, and I got to keep that cup as my face on it and everything. That was the very first thing I ever won. And then Mark Henry gave me his action figure when he first got his very first action figure. He gave it to me. So okay. Yeah, so those are the three things I have. So my very first belt I won in Mexico. I got to keep it. They let me keep it. And then my very first cup I ever won. And then this action figure of Mark Henry in his blue tights. So yeah.
Well, those are great. Those are great items for sure. I haven't had the opportunity to work with Mark Henry yet, but I've been wanting to for a while, for a few years. some
Yeah,
sort of
he's a
inebriated.
great guy. He for him and his family moved out of Texas for a while. They went to LA, and then I think they just missed their family too much because he's from Silsbee, Texas.
Mhm.
And so he just came back, like his whole family came back and stuff. So yeah, he's a
Here's a
great
com-
guy.
here's a comment from Greg. I know you're going to agree with this. It's always best to buy merch to help support your indie wrestler.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. It definitely is.
It's very much appreciated, and it goes a long way.
Yeah.
Kevin wants to know, are you vlogging on YouTube? If so, shout out your channel.
So not on YouTube, but I have a Twitch channel, and it's twitch.tv/Christi, Christ with an I, Jaynes, Jaynes.
Okay.
So I do like live Twitch streams almost every day except for on the weekends, Monday through Friday, and I do them for like an hour. So yeah.
And tell them what happens on the Twitch streams. What will they see?
Mostly I work out. Sometimes I just have a chit chat. We had a pool party once. And then sometimes when I work out, like weird stuff will just happen. Like my sister-in-law brought over a slip and slide and I put it together and I ended up slip and sliding in my workout clothes at the end of it. So just random stuff.
Yeah.
Like you never know. You
The
never
world of
know what's
Christi
going
Jaynes.
to happen. And
That's-
then on my Twitter, I put up like a video of me like telling people to go watch me on Twitch after I did the slip and slide. Yeah, that was too much fun. So
yeah, I've seen a couple of them, and then your kind of like trailers or teases on Instagram or Twitter, and it's pretty funny. It's the world of Christi Jaynes, and we're just living in it.
It is. I'm like, I just live in this world. I don't know if it's real, but I'm here.
Abel asks AAA or CMLL. I'm not sure if he means have you wrestled for them or if you
have. I've wrestled for both actually, which is quite unique. Most people have to pick one or the other. But like when they do house shows, they really don't care, right? If you're not like, they don't care if you're associated with one or the other. So I've done both. I think they're both great companies. CMLL is the oldest wrestling company in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Official, I have to say this, 1933, I believe, was the year that they were officially registered. So they are the oldest wrestling company. Lucha Libre is one of the oldest wrestling styles in the world. So when people say everyone doing flippy shit now, I'm like, no, bitch, they've been doing it since 1933. I don't know if I can say that online.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, we cuss a little bit on the Remarkable Wrestling podcast.
So flippy stuff has been done since 1933. So y'all get with the times.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely has its cultural elements, and definitely as different companies evolve throughout the years, they have different types of styles and ways they want to book the shows and stuff like that. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, they've been doing flippy shit since the 30s, baby. So
we've been flipping since the 30s. That should be their new
t-shirt.
New t-shirt.
Yes, and then I get like 10%. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? I love it.
All right, Christi. I think we're out of time with y'all, and I know you're traveling, you're busy. Anything that you want to leave the viewers of Remarkable Wrestling Podcast with? Anything you want to push or tell them about?
You guys, just support your local talent, not just me, but there's so many amazing talent in Texas and outside of Texas. I definitely just following us or liking our stuff is huge help for us, especially right now, so if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's Christi Jaynes. On Twitter, it's Christi Jaynes. And then of course on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/Christi Jaynes.
Thank you. And we actually one more question that just came in. It's a good one. It says, what female wrestler blew you away?
As far as what?
Yeah, I would say maybe just as your
Their
inspiration,
personality or their ability in the ring?
their ability, their overall,
I'm like, what are we going for
like
here?
like all time. Who inspired you? Who continues to inspire you, wrestling wise?
I think it's forever changing, right? Because again, there's all these great females coming up and being showcased, like women that I've never seen before, and then I get to know them and stuff. So I think it's always changing. But originally, like, of course, China, right? Everyone remembers China, and then Trish, and Lita, and then Beth Phoenix, Charlotte Flair, Bailey, Sasha, Shotzi, like their Taya, Flamer. You guys don't know her yet. She's in Mexico. She actually got her visa to work in America right when COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, she's awesome. There's like Heather Monroe. There's just like all these really great wrestlers everywhere, you know. So it's really hard for me to say like one particular person that just like blew me out of the water, because everyone I wrestle has their own uniqueness to them.
Sure. Well, Christi, thank you so much for your time. You know, all of us are happy with all these great opportunities that you're getting, and we know they're going to keep coming your way. And we know it's going to be a full-time thing where we'll see you on television every single week. We know it's going to happen.
Thank you.
Thank
you, guys. Bye.
All right. So that was Christi Jaynes. Thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, I believe in her talent and ability. I believe she will get to, where she needs to be, without a doubt. She has that X factor. So to close out the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast, we're going to finish up on the 93 Royal Rumble. We're already to the Royal Rumble match itself. And the Royal Rumble match 1993 was interesting because of a few reasons. Number one being Ric Flair drew number one. And this was coming a year after his historical Rumble run where he outlasted everybody in the Rumble match to become the WWF champion. Again, it's great to hear Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary whenever Flair is involved. And so Ric Flair drew number one and did not last long. He was eliminated first, actually, I believe, maybe fourth. It might be fourth. Yes, he was the fourth one eliminated by Mr. Perfect. It wasn't that much longer after this that Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair would wrestle on WWF Raw, one of the premiere episodes, in a loser leaves match in which Mr. Perfect won and Ric Flair went back to WCW. Another reason why the Royal Rumble was so interesting is that The Undertaker at this time transitioned to a face and was starting to evolve. We all know the story of The Undertaker and the many evolutions he has taken throughout the years. Here he's transitioning as a face and starting to figure that out. Well, in order to have a face that's already, you can't kill him because he's already dead and it's already big, you have to have a bigger monster heel. So during the course of this Rumble is the debut of El Gigante, the Giant Gonzalez, coming out in a muscle suit, airbrushed muscle suit with fur strategically placed in certain areas. And he came out to the ring and eliminated The Undertaker. Giant Gonzalez was not an official entrant, but he was the person responsible for the elimination of The Undertaker. This would be Giant Gonzalez's debut. Undertaker and Giant Gonzalez would have a rematch at WrestleMania 9, which again ended in unconventional means, where Giant Gonzalez smothered him with a cloth with some sort of agent on it to knock out The Undertaker. But The Undertaker would come back out to the ring and fight out Giant Gonzalez. Giant Gonzalez really didn't last that long. I think he only lasted maybe a year, if that. You know, they tried to follow up and find their next Andre the Giant, and they tried El Gigante, Giant Gonzalez, but it was really hard. And as a wrestling fan, I know for you guys, it was really, really, really hard to get past that muscle suit. It was just, it was hard. It was very, very hard. Michael Flores says, Giant Gonzalez, great rivalry. Granted, I was 11, but to me, it was awesome. I agree. And see, in 93, I was in high school, early high school. And yeah, I thought it was awesome too. I go back and look at it and say, my God, what is that Giant Gonzalez muscle suit? But it was interesting. Another thing that happened during the course of this was, of course, the evolution of Yokozuna. And Yokozuna, every time he came out, it seemed like his weight was gaining. At first, he was 500 pounds. Then he was 505. He was 515, and 550. Yokozuna would enter the Royal Rumble at number 27. The final, it's pretty interesting to see the final final four entrants. They were Yokozuna, Owen Hart, the Repo Man, and Macho Man Randy Savage. And Yokozuna, up to this point, he was billed as a monster. And they had kept him away from The Undertaker and away from some other top faces at the time, but they were just slowly building him up. He was crushing guys over and over and over with the bonsai drop. Well, during this one, Yokozuna and Randy Savage, they were the last two remaining in the ring. Huge Macho Man mark here. I was pulling for the Macho Man all the way. Macho Man, I think, hits the flying elbow and inexplicably goes for a pin. He goes for a cover. Yokozuna does basically a push-up and throws Macho Man into the air and over the top rope and outside the ring. And Yokozuna is going to WrestleMania 9 as the Royal Rumble winner to face Bret the Hitman Hart. We do know the aftermath of that, which is Yokozuna would defeat Bret the Hitman Hart at the WrestleMania 9, but only hold the title for about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, as Hulk Hogan made his triumphant return. And Mr. Fuji, issued the challenge. Hogan accepted. A salt throw later, a leg drop right after that, and Hulk Hogan was the WWF champion at WrestleMania 9. Yokozuna, of course, would go on to kill Hulkamania at the King of the Ring later on that year. That would be Hulk Hogan's last WWF appearance until when Vince McMahon brought back the NWO in the early 2000s. It's got to be 2002 or somewhere around that range. So for about a good 9-10 years, that would be the last we would see of Hulk Hogan at the 1993 King of the Ring when Yokozuna squashed him. Yokozuna's reign would continue on. He would also be responsible for the departure of Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And then at the Body Slam challenge at the Intrepid is where the narcissist Lex Luger, who we talked about earlier at the 93 Royal Rumble, became made in the USA and body slammed Yokozuna on the deck of the Intrepid. Then that led to the match at SummerSlam 93 between Made in the USA Lex Luger and Yokozuna, but not before Lex Luger went on his Lex Express tour around America on a bus. But Vince McMahon was a little apprehensive about going all the way on being the next Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger. The match would end in a countout. Lex Luger would actually never win the WWF Championship, and eventually be put into a tag team called the Allied Powers with Davey Boy Smith. Yokozuna, meanwhile, he would actually go on to a very successful title reign, and then had an awesome match the following year with The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble, and would continue on being a monster and eventually turning face, and would face the likes of Vader and Mankind and guys like that, and Owen Hart. He would actually hold the tag team championships a little bit with Owen Hart as well. But that was the 1993 Royal Rumble. I do want to show you this real quick, guys. So Razor Ramon, a few months after, like I said, huge Razor Ramon mark here. A few months after Royal Rumble, he would come back to Sacramento. And so my best friend and I, there's a young Boom Boom right there in a tank top. And yes, I had a hairy chest in high school. And there's my childhood best friend, Billy. We met Razor Ramon. You could tell he was very thrilled to take that picture with us. But he did sign a couple of things for me, which I still hold on to today, including this WWF magazine it still holds a place in my heart. I still have it in a great location, and it's always great to look at the memorabilia. But yes, I did go from this to WrestleCon in Dallas just a few years ago with my wife and my child, and Scott Hall was a lot happier to take my picture with me, because this was the time I was trying to book him. So he was very, very happy, and really was willing to take a picture with me here. But like I said, I also got my 1993 Royal Rumble shirt signed by the bad guy, Razor Ramon. That was at the same Sacramento autograph session. And I still have the t-shirt here, as a matter of fact. This is the official Royal Rumble t-shirt. It's actually faded. I don't know if you can really see it. It's faded in the collar. A Haynes 50-50. Okay, so WWF is sparing. Again, that's what I'm saying, man. You got to understand 92, 93, 94 WWF, and then compare it to now, right? They're not doing Haynes 50-50 shirts anymore. But this is the official Royal Rumble shirt. And then there is Razor Ramon's autograph right there on the 1993 Royal Rumble shirt that I got a few months. I got it at the show, but I got it signed a few months after that by the bad guy, Razor Ramon. So, yes, indeed, Greg Robel, hey, yo. Michael Flores says, I remember Yokozuna and Bret Hart, great matches. Eric Burns, I remember the balloons after the match. I'm assuming you're talking about the Lex Luger count out. Greg Roybal said he tried to pin him in the Rumble. Yes, Macho Man. And, it was interesting, considering how much veteran experience the Macho Man Randy Savage had, that he would go for a pin in the Royal Rumble to eliminate Yokozuna. But it would lead to his downfall, as Yokozuna would just bench press him off of him and right over the top ropes and into the floor. Sean Conner, hello. I hope that you have been watching. If you haven't, you can always go back and watch it. All right, folks, so that will do it for Remarkable Wrestling Podcast for this week. Next week, we'll have another special guest, and we're going to continue that trend, and we'll be showing more awesome memorabilia and memories of professional wrestling and collectibles and all the stories that go behind it. So again, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. And hello, everybody. It's time for another edition of the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. And if you're watching, say hello. Eventually, I do want to film a really cool intro for the Remarkable Wrestling Podcast on 1980 style, where it's like, hey, we're going to be talking about all the collectibles and all the memories and all the stuff that makes us professional wrestling fans. This is such good shit. Look at that little pipsqueak. Look at that from the WWE fan club. Ultimate Warrior wristbands. He was like, you like wrestling? I was like, hell yeah, I do. It was Lumberjack Jim, my made-up wrestler. Think Hacksaw Jim Duggan, just Lumberjack.
Did you use a backbreaker in a fight at Grand Oaks?
He runs a promotion during his lunch break. That what cracks me up. The Remarkable Wrestling Podcast. What the world is watching.